Hello there, my name is Esteban Winsmore. I am known for dancing, and I also own the majority of the properties in Second Life. And you are listening to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley, which will soon be renamed the Esteban Winsmore Radio Hour with Esteban Winsmore. So get ready, buckle your seatbelts, because it's going to be a wild ride. Yeah.
Welcome to the Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley. My name is Draxter Dupre. I'm in an attic in Berlin, in 1920s Berlin, with my co-host Joe Yardley. Hi, Joe.
Hey, hello.
And we have a jam-packed show today. You may have gleaned from the station ID that Esteban is the featured guest on our show today. Joe, do you think there is someone who doesn't know who he is?
Yeah, sure. There's always someone who doesn't know who he is, but I think he's got the most views on YouTube on any SL-related video.
And we're a public service, so in case you don't know who he is, here's a little soundbite from one of his home invasion videos.
This is a wonderful home.
Get out of our house.
What?
Get off our land or I'll have you banned and barred from SL.
You talk tough, but you can't back it up.
Wait, you want to try me on that one?
Yes, I'll show you what's what.
So that was Esteban, and I'm assuming that a lot of Esteban fans are listening, but they need to sit tight while we go through our top topics section and the other Second Life related stuff. We get to that interview in due time.
I have closed the door to the attic, just to be sure.
It's a G-rated region. There will be no swearing. Thanks for the comments on the blog. Keep it coming. Don't forget, this is a audio program, so please don't be shy. Call into the show. The discussion about spying the NSA is ongoing on the blog. Masami Kuramoto left a comment about Esh and the red zone issue. And Inara gives us some context on the blog as well about spying in the UK and how it's related to what we do here in the US of A. What's concerning me personally, just one note, is net neutrality. There's not much discussion about it here in this country. So I encourage folks to read up on it and we'll provide some linkage. In terms of housekeeping, we have a Flickr page. We are on Stitcher. You can support the show by contacting Drax Files in World. You can support the show via station ID or mention in the credits for yourself or your business.
And we're on Facebook. Little thing called Facebook.
I don't know what that is. Is that with avatars?
Yes, something digital. I don't know.
Well, anyways, last week we asked you, the listener, to call us and tell us about coming out of the virtual closet, an idea that originated with you, Joe. What is this about?
Well, I've quite early on decided that I wanted to come out of the virtual closet and tell everyone about it. But of course, for me, it's easy to do because the things I do in Second Life are quite easily understood by all my friends. They know I'm a history addict. And the second I started posting on Facebook to all my real-life friends that I was in Second Life, of course they all suddenly thought, what on earth is she doing there? But the second I started posting a picture of me in Second Life at some sort of historical event or of 1920s Berlin, people got interested, they understood what I was doing, and they suddenly realized that there was this whole different side to Second Life. And I've lured quite a few of them into Second Life, and they are now users just like me.
In other words, it's like going to a playground with heroin.
A bit, yeah. But, you know, it depends, of course, on what you exactly do in Second Life. You don't have to share everything, but I think it's really important for us to try and share a little bit of our Second Lives just to make it less weird and freaky and strange to everyone else.
Well said. And we're a call-in show. You can call us with comments. How do you get out of the virtual closet, or do you at all? To break the ice, I called fashion designer Eshi Otawara, and here is how she deals with this issue, also in the context of romantic relationships.
You know, the artist that I am, I always kind of end up dating engineers or geeks. They're very receptive to my explanation to, you know, what Second Life is and what it means to me. As far as meeting a person in real life who is not in some kind of a romantic setting, like somebody from my job, for example, I don't usually come out and say, oh, by the way, I do this, and that in a virtual virtual world because I work at a very kind of a physical job. Sometimes they will ask me questions about, well, what do you mean? How do you make a video game dress and what do you do with it? And I try to explain basically, you know how when you walk into a video game and you have to dress up your character, they all nod because everybody's played video games at some point. And then I tell them, well, you can create in the game that I play. And I always talk about it as a game because I just don't need to go into a big, elaborate, explanation what this thing is. So I tell them that, I create those little outfits for one specific game that they have not heard of.
A game that they have not heard of. Well, that was Eshi Otawara, and next time maybe we can have your voice talking about coming out of the virtual closet. Give us a call, Skype, Drax Files. Let's move on to the top topics of the week. Joe, you sent me a video, augmented reality and virtual reality. I mean, is this the holodeck? Can you briefly describe what's going on in this video?
It is like watching the future. A gentleman, a rather nice gentleman, has his own little room. And he's wearing the Oculus Rift and a few other gadgets. And he combines what he is seeing in the Oculus Rift in his own virtual reality with reality. He has put 2 cameras on top of his Oculus Rift. And he puts together the view of real life with what he wants to create in his virtual life. For instance, he pushes a button and whoosh, there is a woman avatar with him in the room. And the shadows work. She's just standing there in the middle of the room. She's moving about a bit. She doesn't do very much, but she's there. He clicks another button and poof, there is a square, let's call it a prim, floating in midair. He can move it, he can rotate it.
It is completely amazing. It's a motion capture room. He has markers glued to the Rift, to his hands. The avatars appear, the prims appear. I have a little soundbite from the video. Let's listen.
So I've designed this 3D user interface as follows. We have a panel on the left hand, which is a series of buttons. And on the right hand, we have the manipulator. We have a little icon for where the palm is and also for where approximately the fingers are. If you hover over for a couple of seconds, it will perform the action. So let's load an avatar. There she is. You'll be able to see the real-time shadows on the floor here. I'm just going to go back quickly, and what I'm going to do now is press this button, Load VR Scene. And here we are in the Tuscany demo from Oculus VR. And walk around. I can't see my real body now, of course, so I just have the virtual markers. Let's go back to the augmented reality. Here we are again. Final thing I'd like to show you. Here, this is Create Screen. That one should load up Google Maps, I believe. Obviously the resolution isn't great, but we can certainly read if we get close enough. I'm just going to grab my keyboard and mouse now, and we can interact using the keyboard and mouse.
He does everything in this virtual world without using menus and things like that. For instance, he rests a screen and he can watch the BBC News on a prim floating in midair. But he also, by wearing a little thing on his hand, he creates this sub-menu. He just has to float one hand over the other hand, and he can control things.
The HUD is sort of glued to his hand.
Yes, and I've said before, a lot of people are thinking, what if we're going to use the Oculus Rift? How are we going to communicate? And I think that we have to look in that direction. Who says we need a keyboard? If you can rest a virtual keyboard in your screen, in your vision. But even if you don't, with this system, you can just view your own keyboard in real life and in Second Life at the very same time. You're watching at the same thing.
That's right, because you have a view into the real world by these cameras that he just glues on the outside of the Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
Couldn't you imagine that you would be walking through to Berlin today and you actually have an overlay of the 20s plus non-player character avatars, but you're walking through real Berlin?
I'm not mobile. I don't have a mobile phone. I don't have Google Glasses.
You have a bicycle?
Yes, I do have a bicycle, but it doesn't do anything digital. But, I can see options, that this is going to mean that virtual reality is going to be interesting to a lot more people than just a few, gamers, if you like to call it that. You can have an office in your living room where you can just rest 2, 3, 4, 5 screens and computers and all the things, models of buildings that you're designing, whatever. And then, you take off the glasses, it's all gone and you're back in your own room. So that, you can combine things. It's going to be very interesting. And I think part of it is going to be interesting for us in Second Life. But, immersion is the big key. So I think bringing in a lot of reality into Second Life may not work for everyone.
Mm. And we have to say, and it's pretty clear in the video, that William Steptoe is the name of the developer from the UK, and he's in a room that is a motion capture equipped room. So there are 12 cameras that monitor the position and feedback the position to the computer and then create the relationship of the virtual objects in the room. So that is obviously important. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. On a similar subject, moving on to topic number 2, I heard a story on an NPR member station KQED here in San Francisco. Amy Stannon was reporting, and I figure we forgot this. I mean, we're a new show, but we have never mentioned these EEG headsets. Have you ever heard of these? Like the Emotive, they're $150 retail.
Yeah, I have heard of them. I have not really seen them work with extremely complicated things.
Yeah, the demos you usually see is somebody looking at a virtual reality rock that he then lifts by the focus of his thoughts so that the rock floats. The Emotive headset, by the way, looks like a sort of spider resting on your head. I want to play a little soundbite from that KQED reportage, Amy Stannon reporting. This is about a mind-controlled little helicopter.
It's about 8 inches wide with 3 small propellers. Lou straps on his headset and tries it out.
So I'm driving up my attention level past a certain point.
The more he concentrates, the higher the helicopter soars.
And that will allow the helicopter to...
And then crashes into my face.
I'm so sorry.
Next, I'm up. Lou tells me to focus on the helicopter.
As if you actually had these telekinetic powers.
Which I clearly don't.
It's not really working, is it? Okay.
All the way.
You can't get frustrated with the helicopter because that's different from concentration. What works is to focus on just one thing, really concentrate on it. This amplifies what are called beta waves inside the brain, which are picked up by the EEG, which in turn flies the helicopter. In my case, for about 3 seconds.
It doesn't seem so easy to mind control a helicopter. What I find fascinating, though, is that this, and she says it in the piece, that this may lead us back to more, concentration and focus, because arguably the technology that we're sort of interacting now is fragmenting our thoughts. And, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Second Life, broadcasting on Twitch at the same time. So that's what I find personally really interesting, that this can lead us back to a more focused use in a sort of a meditative state. Later in the piece, they talk about neurodisco, which translates brain electrical patterns into music. Also very interesting. We'll link to this piece. Any more thoughts on the deep meditative state, Joe?
It is still a bit too futuristic for me to completely comprehend how it works. But yeah, I think the idea is that one day we're going to look back and laugh at ourselves wearing these big plastic things on our heads and gloves and controllers and walking on plastic discs. And, one day it's just going to be a suit.
I think we're laughing today about movies like The Lawnmower Man. Actually, The Lawnmower Man is a great movie.
It's scary.
We'll also link to the description on Wikipedia what EEG means. So we're an educational show. Topic number 3, I got the chance to talk to Monty Linden. Monty Linden is a core platform developer at Linden Lab, and he talked to me about the HTTP project. There is a couple of blog posts out there. There are forum posts. It is apparently improving our Second Life experience. Do you understand all this stuff, Joe? I mean, this is so technical.
I understand absolutely nothing of it.
Very good, because I asked Monty to explain this to a 4th grader, and here he is.
How do you explain to a 4th grader? The task the viewer has when it wants to present a room to you, a scene to you, is that it has to ask for every element, every object in the scene. So if you walk out your front door of your house, there's 50 trees, you need to ask for all the trees, you need to ask for the driveway, you need to ask for the cars in the driveway, and every one of those is carried over HTTP. And how well that works determines how good your experience is. The dynamic characteristic means that your job is never done. There's always more to go after. The main problem is the HTTP project is trying to work with are latency, throughput, and reliability. The HTTP code has evolved over quite a few number of years, has had problems, and we've spent some time to actually dig in and solve problems people have been experiencing from back to front. Viewer work, server work, all the infrastructure pieces as well. That work was meant to include limitations in equipment. People have been using medium-end, low-end, high-end routing equipment, and that is changing even more today. And as we see network vendors and ISPs get in the white box router business, they're starting to package up their own implementations of routing software in boxes that aren't necessarily robust or reliable or a known quantity. So what we're trying to do is create a better usage pattern with less surprise to the ISPs and random pieces of hardware that users may be using. The result of that is, first of all, reliable experience. The network boxes aren't suddenly rebooting, getting confused, going into a defensive mode, and disconnecting users from services. Better use of the facilities, the services, the capacities, means higher throughput and lower latencies, or at least what physical latencies, approaching the physical latencies that are actually present in the system. If you're located in South Africa or Australia, you're going to have a long ping time, and there is nothing we can do about that. One of the other projects going on is interesting, which changes the priority of what you see. Drawing order, what objects are actually sent to the viewer as you go along. Prioritization does affect things, but there just is an immense amount of data that goes into a scene description. This most recent work is mesh-centric, so if you are in a mesh-heavy region, you'll now see some improvements there as well. What's interesting in a high-end machine is more cores. A bit of benchmark work on the viewer shows that we actually can keep quite a few cores running at the same time. So if you have a machine with a surplus of capacity, more cores, we can, to a certain extent, make use of it. There's no set rule for that number, but 2-4 cores can be kept busy. Second Life evolved very quickly, and that's just a fact of life of code that evolves quickly. But we know what we need to do with our code, and we can organize and re-architect it a little bit now. And independence pays off very well, especially in communications. Too friendly an arrangement between groups means your code will also follow the same pattern. You'll be forever bound to decisions other people make. A good transport scheme and a good communications architecture should be very independent of other pieces. They can make different demands, and it should respond intelligently and continue to behave well. In the old days, when there were 5 vendors, each having 2 or 3 products, you could actually embrace the idea of testing them all yourself. If we wanted to, we could have spent the money and actually gone through the devices and actually come up with concrete recommendations. These will work better, these won't. Today, with ISP-specific boxes, particularly seen in Europe, where there seems to be a lot of white box activity, we will never see them. We will never see the ISP network configurations. We could never reproduce these environments. So the only solution is, don't be surprising. Do ordinary things, but do them very well. In particular, produce HTTP traffic that looks like other HTTP traffic. And in that way, we'll avoid edge cases. And there will be more and more edge cases as ISPs and telecom companies keep trying to make these cheaper and cheaper network devices with possibly questionable software. We really actively have been trying to get feedback on this HTTP work. Please don't be afraid to come in on the forums or in Jira and let us know how the new viewer is working. If something's going wrong, we do want to hear from you.
So that was Monty Linden. Make sure you get that release candidate viewer and send feedback back to them. Also, the white box phenomenon, I found a link. I researched a little bit. I had no idea what that even is. And also, Inara Pay has a good blog post on HTTP pipelining and definitions. It's fascinating to get a glimpse into the complexities of communication between server and us, and we have so many different devices, so many different setups.
And we're all using different viewers just to make things easier. Even though I'm not a 4th grader, there are still a few things I don't quite get. The idea is to make it work faster. And as far as I'm concerned, they can go back to mice in a treadmill. As long as they can make it go faster, I'm a happy bunny.
And in a future show, we'll talk about Minecraft versus Second Life, because I do think that's significant. It's not only the perception. Minecraft just works with a lot less lag than Second Life, but it's apples and oranges with the simplicity of Minecraft and the complexity what Second Life has to stream.
To be honest, if you try anything that's a little bit more complicated and extreme, even in Minecraft, you also will suffer lots of lag. For instance, if you try and blow up stuff, not only will you experience lots of lag, but there's a big risk that you'll crash, and it's not sacred. It's not perfect.
Thank you for saying this. The show that we're going to have is going to be entitled My Game is Better Than Yours.
Excellent.
Now, moving on. Loki Elliott, our friend Loki Elliott,
yes.
3D designer, has put a documentary together over the weekend, a couple weeks ago, and he sent it to me. And I have to say, I am in awe of this. It's a mashup of clips that are available on YouTube about virtual reality. Some of them go back, I think...
10 years, 20 years?
Maybe 20 years, yeah. And we're releasing this today. I'm going to release it on the Drax Dupre YouTube channel.
The great thing about it is that it is interesting to everyone, even the people who are not that obsessed with virtual reality and Second Life and things like that. It is just a very good documentary about the history and the future of virtual reality.
Let's play a little clip from the movie. Here it is, Loki Elliott's The Lost Virtual World.
It was more than 100 years ago that Lewis Carroll wrote about Alice's trip through the looking glass. Now that fiction has become a reality, or you might say a virtual reality.
People are able to exchange the things that they build in this world with each other across the whole world. It's not an isolated set of little content experiments. It's one big place.
One thing to have a motion controller that's controlling an abstraction of yourself out on a screen, that there's a disconnect there. When you have a motion controller that is perfectly one-to-one, at the right scale, at the right size, you can reach out, pick up something and hold it. Anybody can do that.
For instance, we have groups that are self-help groups that have formed that address real-world issues such as rape, crisis relief, and they're coming together to share those experiences and talk about them to heal.
One of the problems, I think, with social media is it isn't very social. It's really just an aggregation of individuals.
You go into your home and you don't have much of a social life, you can get on Second Life and have a whole new social life.
London Sunday Times Online. Virtual jihad hits Second Life website.
I think one of the reasons that we're having such a hard time breaking into the consumer mainstream market is because people don't quite understand how to use it or why to use it.
When they look at something truly open like Second Life, people are just lost as to what they should do.
Here I am talking to people from Tokyo, Australia, from all over the world who know absolutely nothing about 1920s Berlin, and I can tell them, and that's fantastic, and that is the secret of Second Life. It is what you make it.
The other piece we started thinking about was that thing that I got so excited about when I saw my head mirrored on the screen, which was, if I can look into your eyes and you can feel me, whatever that means, right? It's something that happens when you look at somebody, when you're sitting across from somebody, there's something that happens. And the thing that we were excited about was, if we have got enough sensors and we can deploy a little bit of hardware, we've got to be able to get that across the wire. We've got to be able to make that one-to-one sense of presence, or that teacher-to-student sense of presence, actually happen online.
What I would love to see happen is that the ideal of breaking down national boundaries and bringing people together actually can happen in the virtual world, because people have an opportunity to get to know each other in a way that they can't in the real world. And I mean, I know it's idealistic, but wouldn't it be great?
And there's even a little Joe Yardley in that documentary. What's fascinating is to look back at clips from the early Linden Lab team. Last we heard Robin Harper, and how idealistic and enthused they are about the possibilities of their creative virtual world. Maybe this is the film that we should show all these 20-something whiz kids, Palmer from Oculus and all these others that are reinventing virtual reality, because they were probably too young when Second Life was really hyped back then.
Absolutely. It is a really great video to show people who think that the Oculus Rift will only be interesting for gamers who want to run around and shoot stuff. People have to realize the potential of Second Life before they get interested in it again.
And again, I want to stress this. This is not a commercial for Second Life or anything. This is a 37-minute documentary about the recent history of virtual reality, how virtual reality was a darling of the media, how it was shut down by the media, and how it is now coming back. And I would think that if the current lab engineers and staff will watch this film, I think it has the power to reinvigorate them as well in terms of thinking big, just like you said. There is more to just killing some hours by killing some monsters in virtual reality.
Yes, if I was in charge of Linden Lab, I would make sure that every employee would see this. It reminds us where we're from, it reminds us where we're going, and it shows us the potential of where it could go.
Very well said. Lastly, my dad sent me this. A Google Glass user in Columbus, Ohio was arrested by the feds when he had Google Glass while watching a movie, and they thought he was ripping off the movie.
Well, didn't they a couple of years ago, wasn't there someone who walked into a fast food restaurant with a test version of the Google Glasses or something that was attached actually to his skull? I think it was because he was blind, and he was manhandled, and they tried to rip it off his head because they didn't want him filming in there. In a movie theater, I can sort of understand, because I don't know how you can see if someone is recording something with their Google Glasses. And I'll be honest, if I would meet someone tomorrow wearing one of those things, I would refuse to even talk to them until they turn it off.
I actually personally totally agree, because it's also a matter of respect and being in the moment and having an engaging conversation.
Just like when I'm talking to someone and they grab their mobile phone and look at it while I'm talking to them, I will slap them.
Oh, Joe, you're speaking my mind. I find it strange that it's socially acceptable that you can grab your phone in the middle of a conversation, while at the same time it is somehow weird to be, engaged in something like Second Life.
Yeah, when I go to a restaurant, I would rather sit on a table with 4 people smoking while using their mobile phone. And I've taught my family members that they can go outside if they want to smoke, but they can also go outside if they want to use their mobile phone. I hate those things. And yes, people, I really do not have a mobile phone. You may gasp.
I love it. Okay, well, anyways, in the future, we can now expect that when we go to a movie theater, at least in the United States, we have to surrender our guns and our Google Glass at the door. All right, that's sort of our top items now. Joe, is there anything else, breaking news or something that just came in last minute?
Yes, just this morning, The Guardian had a really nice and very long article about virtual reality and the future of virtual reality. And it's really nice to read that such a newspaper finally seems to take virtual reality very seriously. But the main topic of this is that the Valve Corporation, they're saying that they want to get involved in the virtual reality, and they said it could become a consumer reality by 2015, which is, safe, but quite likely. They are going to work closely with the Oculus Rift team. So they clearly show their trust and faith into this new item object and this new way forward. And it's quite exciting that such a company takes those steps.
Joe, can you please close your Facebook in the background that is going into the audio stream?
That's not me.
Oh, crap, that's me. I'm sorry. Yeah, slightly hypocritical of me criticizing people who are not engaged in conversation, and then my Facebook is open and that stupid sound effect comes in all the time. Anyway.
Yeah, but I know you're listening to me because I'm a rather violent Dutch woman, and I get angry if you don't listen.
Yeah, you call me a big blouse. What I find interesting in the Guardian article also is that one person interviewed calls Second Life a interesting proprietary experiment versus something that should be more open and not controlled by one company. So that's very interesting read. And next week we'll talk to Peter Ludlow, aka Euryzinus Sklar from the Alphaville Herald, exactly about that subject as well. Now, moving on to the feature section, Esteban. Who is Esteban Winsmore? I just want to play another excerpt of one of his films. So I got to set this up real quick because we don't have any visuals. Here's Esteban, as he often does. He goes into a home and introduces himself, and then hilarity ensues.
I am just hanging around.
You're not invited.
I mean no harm.
You're not invited.
Invited to what?
Into this house. Get out. Ban him, Pure.
Yes, yeah, right. You cannot do this. I am invincible. You are scared of me, that is why you want a band. Are you afraid because I am more man than you? You see these muscles on my arms?
So he's quite provocative, as you can tell. And here's another little clip where he peeks into a window where a man and a woman are snuggling on the sofa.
What are you doing in there?
Just chilling.
Ah, I see. It's me, Esteban Winsmore. How are you doing?
Terrible.
Why, my friend? Live life, be happy.
I got peeping Tom standing outside my window.
I'm just dropping by, making sure your day is going fine.
We're good, thanks.
Fine, I will come inside. You have convinced me. What is this room I am in? Ah, this is the kitchen.
Good times. Oh, you still here?
Is it okay if I move in with you?
I don't care.
Ah, yes, we will be best friends, roommates.
You can sleep under the floor.
So this is Esteban sort of pushing himself gently onto others and...
Yeah. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Another soundbite that I want to play before we listen to the interview is he was with furries and he just asked some very innocent questions. And here is that soundbite.
You are very large.
I'm just a little pup. Little pony's all I am.
Wow. You are animals with human qualities. I've never quite seen anything like this. I am just a normal man. I apologize if I do not fit in.
Everybody fits in here. We don't take any offense with anyone or try not to.
That is a very nice policy. Oh, you're a human. Never mind.
Actually, I'm part furry, part human.
You're part what?
Part furry, wolf.
Oh, I've never heard this term before.
And what they did was...
Anthropomorphic animals are called furries.
Wow. This has suddenly become a very interesting day.
This is Esteban for you. I mean, Joe, you mentioned earlier it's the highest rated YouTube content. Who is he for you? Is he a griefer? Is he a troll? Is he a genius comedian? Who is he? All of the above?
Genius is maybe a little big word. But, you know, he is a griefer, but he is so funny. He does it in such a funny way. I would kick him out of my sim within a second.
That's right. You have police. You kick people out who don't wear the right attire in 1920s Berlin.
Yeah, you wear jeans, you get ejected. No problem. But, you know, just like with most best comedy, the comedian itself is not the gem, but how the people react. He is, you know, generally quite innocent, being a bit of a pain.
Are you gay?
No, I just like you. You are the most beautiful girl I've ever seen.
I know.
Okay, don't be conceited.
I know.
She's my girlfriend, bro.
She is my girlfriend now, okay?
No.
You love me, right?
No.
We are in love.
No, thank you.
Without any further ado, and I know the Esteban fans who are listening to this show, they're not interested what we are thinking about him. They just want to hear the man in his own voice. And here is the interview that I taped with him.
My name is Esteban Winsmore. I am a club owner, entrepreneur. The list of things I do is too long. I cannot go too far into it, but you understand the basics.
I understand, and because I've seen all your work, and I can't think of anyone not familiar because you have the highest rated Second Life content on YouTube. First of all, let me ask you, are you of Spanish background?
No. People ask me this all the time. I respond quite similarly each time. It does not matter where I am from. It is what's inside that counts. Look at my character instead.
Yeah, and I feel when I watch your encounters with others that it's very obvious to me that you want to be loved, but sometimes you run into issues with others and they don't see it that way.
Yes, it is not always this way though. Sometimes I find friends, but I must say, since I entered this world, I have taken more verbal abuse than I care to recall. I always try and keep on a happy face, but sometimes people say, screw you, Esteban, you must leave this place. But, you know, I try and keep my attitude up and strong.
I know, and even somebody as restrained as you, after a while of that verbal abuse, you fire back. I mean, who can blame you for that, right?
Yes, my mother taught me. She was very, very strong, very firm handshake. She say, You can be nicest man in the world, but do not take the insults. You must protect yourself at all times. So I follow this code very strictly.
It's just my own guessing game now when you talk about your mother. Is she from Eastern European descent?
Listen, Drax, I warn you about this. It does not matter where I am from.
But Esteban, I am an investigative journalist. It's just that's how my brain works.
Okay, if you must know, it's okay. Many people know my origins. I am from a small country called Podola. And oftentimes, people ask me, where is Podola? And I say, if you do not know, you will never learn. So take that as you will.
Okay, well, I think that your mother raised you very well. Now, how long have you been in Second Life?
I have been playing Second Life for almost 4 years now. I believe 2010 was the year of my birth.
And you say playing, but you're also an entrepreneur, like you said. So it's more than just a play. You have a club. What offerings do you have at the club? I have, to my shame, I have to admit, I have not been to your club yet.
Oh yes, it makes sense. My club is constantly changing places. It is quite mobile. It is wherever I deem it to be that day. We do not offer much except for happiness, and you are free to dance. And of course, if business it takes place, all money goes to me 100%. But otherwise, you just have good time, you dance on the floor. There's nothing more to it.
You have encountered subcultures like the furries or the bronies. Why did you want to learn about furries? I mean, I guess that's a simple question. You are a very curious guy.
Yes, absolutely. Once I meet animal men, I say I must find out more about your species. I become very curious. I search for more. Eventually, I came across this barn where 3 of them, maybe 4, I couldn't tell. It was a strange mess. They were and it was very confusing, but I learned a lot that day. The smell was terrible, but they were very interesting people, very interesting philosophies. I do not care myself to go and barn and but it's still much interest to me.
Yeah, and they were somewhat friendly. I mean, they were a lot friendlier than some of the humanoids that you encounter, right?
Yes, the reasons, although they were explained quite clearly to me, were still very strange, but I understood them nonetheless.
With the bronies, what happened with the bronies? Were you also banned from there, and why did you go back as a brony yourself?
Initially, the bronies loved me. They built shrine, giant monument for Esteban. And then my followers, people, fans of Esteban, swarmed their lands, and I was exiled as a result. But they still love me there. I go back in disguise as a brony. But even now, they know my voice. They know my aura. They feel me in the area, and they ban me. But I think all in all, they still love the Esteban, and I love them too.
A lot of people would call you a griefer. They would say you are there to wreak havoc, to grieve people. And how would you respond to that?
I make many videos called Home Invasions. These videos were meant to be ironic. With real home invasion, man comes in home with a gun. When I do home invasion, I go in a room and say, hello, how are you? I do not understand the disconnect here. I've never been aggressive, I've only reacted. So you say Esteban grief, I say Esteban is angel.
No, it's not me saying it. I'm just a reporter.
How dare you, Drax?
I'm just saying what maybe people may say, you know?
Yes.
I mean, if you go into a home, maybe these people or a couple wants to kind of snuggle up in front of the television and watch TV and you come in there and they kind of don't want you there, and it's nothing against you personally.
First off, cuddling is always better when Esteban is in the picture, so I don't understand this. Third, I don't think I had a first point, but third, I always try my best to introduce myself. All the places I go are publicly accessible. Oh no, Esteban, come in my publicly accessible home and ask me how I am doing. What a terrible person. I am sorry. I am human. I want to make friends. I get yelled at more than anyone on Second Life. What about my emotions? I'm trying my best here.
That's true, and Second Life is, as opposed to some other games, one of the defining factors is that's a social place to where people are going to make friends, right?
Absolutely, and you'd figure in these homes you build them from the earth. You want people to come in and say hello. I understand that sometimes you and your girlfriend do the sex and you don't want Esteban there, but let me just say that I'm great at sex. Just let me join. I can do it.
Yeah. I mean, this is just, they just have to give you a chance.
Yes, it's a shame the way I have been misunderstood by many of the Second Life players. But at the other end of the spectrum, many of these people love me. I have Second Life players message me every day. I come online, I have 30 friend requests. I check my YouTube. People from my videos come and they talk to me. They say they are big fans. I have brought many people to Second Life. I think all in all, I am a positive for this world, and I enjoy making that positive impact. And I know that people out there, they say Esteban is jerk, he is freak, but they do not understand my true spirit. I come with strong character.
Yeah, like any Eastern European.
Listen, this does not matter, Drax.
I know, I'm just saying because I'm European, and when I'm here in California, then people sometimes say, oh, you must be from Europe because you come on very strong.
Well, with me, I am from land many people have not visited. People do not know my customs, but my only custom is friendliness, so it becomes quite clear after you meet me that I do not mean you harm. I just want to be your friend. I'm sorry that I am so outgoing, you know? And maybe I'm a little too handsome. You are intimidated.
They might very well be intimidated. Yeah.
Yes. Have you seen my biceps? It is crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, you wear muscle shirts, I think exclusively, or do you wear any jackets over? Usually not.
Why would I wear a jacket? Then the world cannot see these guns.
I totally understand. Really quickly to your earlier point about publicly accessible homes, I was just thinking of a more philosophical question. As the public sphere in the world kind of declines, you know, everything is sort of privatized. I mean, maybe in Second Life it's the only place where we have publicly available spaces where we can meet.
Absolutely. I go to many public spheres in Second Life and I am terrified, but I go to many other ones. I meet friends. I meet people from around the world. When I go to a place and people scream at me, it makes me fear for the world. What more do we have to live for if we don't care to meet new people and usher in new experiences to our lives? I do not understand these people, but at the same time, I forgive them for yelling at me because I too have been hurt in my life, so I understand.
New experiences like having sex on the couch.
Yeah, well, maybe not this, but at least talking to people.
The way you approach also other cultures like the furries or the bronies is with a curiosity and an openness, an open heart.
And not everybody feels this way. I get much hate from people for talking to these groups, for not insulting them directly. But still, I love people for who they are, regardless. You can dress up like wolf. It's your decision. That is Second Life.
Also, what I observed with some of your videos, and we'll play excerpts on the show, a typical situation that one girl kind of later told you that she was fine with you, that she liked you, but her group, the clique that she was in, didn't like you and tried to get rid of you. So this is kind of really like, I think, experience we have in everybody of us may have had in high school too.
Yes, absolutely. And this mob mentality has caused many people to yell at me because maybe their friend does not want me there. But I think in that particular case you have...
Your Eastern European persistence, they just...
No, Drax! I am not from this place!
Okay, sorry.
Stop it!
Okay, sorry. I didn't want to upset you. You're always welcome at my home.
Oh, thank you. Well, I would go there anyway, to be honest, but... You know, I appreciate the invitation.
My landlord, Loki Elliott from Escapades, loves you very much, and he would probably be very welcoming.
Great.
But we don't have any wolves.
Well, it is okay. I think I've had my fair share of wolves for at least 3 years.
How many videos do you put out? I mean, do you have a monthly, or is it just when it's a good story that comes to you?
Well, I don't like putting videos out unless they share an experience that is unique to my other videos. However, I am a very busy man. I run many clubs. I have many covert operations across the world. I am not always able to make these videos, but I swore never to make a video unless it was different from my last. I don't want to put out the how you say these, the shitty videos. I want to make honest experiences for the world, because my life, I thrive on these experiences.
But what's is there an educational value to your videos?
I think yes, I show both the beauty and the complications that come with these worlds that I inhabit. For the one, you can embrace Esteban and have this positive experience, or you can scream at Esteban when he asks, "How are you?" I expose the complications and the wonderful things about the virtual worlds.
Yeah, and that's what we all can learn from. Just a couple more questions. I saw that you donated all the money that came in from Google Ads to a good cause.
Yes. Why need money when you are money, right, my friend? I do not need this money. There are kids in I don't know, somewhere. They need this money. They want sandwiches. I don't know. I own many clubs.
In Eastern Europe, they eat pierogi.
Listen, one more Eastern Europe comment and I will take this fist to your face, Draxter.
Okay.
Okay, wait, sorry. I get worked up.
I know, I apologize.
Don't worry about it, my friend.
Okay, we're good, okay. So who did you give that money to?
I gave my money to save the children. I think the innocence of a child is what might save this world. So I think maybe we save the children, because I've been yelled at by many old people, so maybe children are the only people I like anymore. So I donate my money to them.
Save the children from the likes of you, some could say.
Well, maybe. Because children inevitably become old, and maybe they come on Second Life and yell at me someday, so maybe I just donate charity to myself. But I don't know.
My last question is I'm always curious, because people say Second Life is not a game, and you have been referring in this interview more to Second Life players and game, and a lot of people say, no, it's a world, these people are residents, this is not a game. How do you feel about this whole back and forth?
Well, I even though I occasionally do say players in game, I do believe that this is a world. You cannot get the experience you get here anywhere else, and that is why I come back. As I've shown, I do not care too much for the money. I'll give that away. I like being able to meet these people and being able to translate these experiences to people who are not here. It is a world for me. It's not so much a game.
But are you ever afraid that the woman that looks so beautiful and that you want to kind of take out maybe to a date is in reality a 55-year-old trucker who is overweight and lives somewhere in a trailer park?
Well, yes, but I would exercise precaution. I would ask for scan of driver's license, fingerprints.
I'm curious because we talked about how some people might think you're a griefer, and now we're talking about possibly violating the terms of service. Are you afraid of Linden Lab or maybe somebody reporting you and you might get banned from the world?
For the record, I have never once been banned, not for a day, not for a week, not for a year. I believe I provide a great service to Second Life, and if the day were to come where I would be banned, it would not be my loss, but the world's loss. So I do not live in fear of this. I hope that someday maybe Linden Labs say hello to me. But I am not afraid. I am brave soul. I am not afraid of ban.
I understand. Especially the service that you're providing for the female 50% of the world.
Exactly.
Okay, Esteban, thank you so much. And looking forward to your next video.
Of course. No problem, my friend.
So that was Esteban Winsmore in his own words. Now, Joe, you mentioned how fast and how violent people react to him, while you could argue that it's relatively easy to ban someone, to block someone, to mute someone, and eject someone from a sim, correct?
Yeah, that's true. But of course, some of these people are living in rented homes. So they rent a house somewhere where they have almost no powers. And they have to call the landlord to get rid of this crazy guy with the massive nose.
So in other words, just like the real world, if you're a renter, you're screwed.
He's trespassing, call the police, but you can't do that in Second Life. But yes, even if you have no powers whatsoever on your land...
Well, you can't do that in Detroit either because of the police force being downsized. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly, but you can mute and make every avatar invisible so you no longer see them. And I've been in Second Life for about 5 years, so maybe I have no right of speaking when it comes to a lot of people who are in Second Life for only, for not that long a time, much a time. But I don't understand that there are people who don't know that they can't do anything about it themselves. They have to wait for their landlord to kick them out. Because I've had so many people I had to kick out or mute and things like that over the years. It's become second nature to me. Nobody bothers me for longer than I allow them to, just because it's mildly entertaining to sometimes talks to someone who's really annoying. But, it takes 2 clicks and they're gone forever. Even if you can't eject them or whatever, you just go mute and whoosh, they vanish.
The high level of vitriol that is being spewed at Esteban is in fact shocking when you watch some of these videos.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that I think it's okay that that I don't understand the victims, because it can be really annoying, especially if you think you have no powers. There is no real privacy in Second Life, and if someone walks into your house, kick them out, and if you can't ignore them, how long is it going to take? A couple of minutes?
Yeah, or you teleport away and then come back. But
no, you can't surrender.
I see. So you're confrontational.
Oh, absolutely. But if someone comes into your house and you don't want them there, and you can't do anything about it, I can understand that people get quite angry, and I can also understand that they can get quite annoyed with this guy. But in the end, I can't help but laugh at it because it's so funny. Mm. I try not to, but I can't help it.
I want to mention that I do see a connection with the way we interact in the physical world, and I do see an increase in people just being less and less civil. And that has to do with economic pressures, especially the middle class sort of feeling maybe the rug being pulled out under them, and all that stuff is very much related.
It's also how modern society works in general these days. I mean, we come home from our job, we close our curtains, we close our doors, and in many families, everyone goes to their own room and watches their own little screen instead of working together.
Absolutely.
While when I grew up, all the front doors were left open. I mean, we had riots in the 1930s in Amsterdam where they knew they were going to have riots in a certain neighborhood because they knew the doors were always open, so everyone could run inside a random house during the riots, which they did, and then they had free coffee and tea.
Yeah, it's in many ways, this again shows how Second Life is a mirror of what we're going through in the physical world in terms of relating to other human beings. I'm absolutely convinced about that.
That's what makes Winsmore so interesting, because on one hand, as someone who's in Second Life themselves and who runs a sim and who has tenants, I'm looking at a griefer who needs to be kicked out and banned. And on the other hand, I'm just looking at something that is very, very entertaining. There was one couple in one of the videos that were actually quite funny, and they quite enjoyed his visit.
There was one girl that wanted to hang out with him, but her clique was against him, and she succumbed to sort of the peer pressure, right, in pushing back at him, while deep down inside she told him later that she wanted actually to hang out with him, and she thought he was a nice guy.
Even if you block me, I hope you remember me forever, girl, and the good times we had.
I will. Don't worry, Esteban. You'll always have a part of my heart.
I love you too,
yeah. Baby. I love you too. It's just, my friends don't, they're getting a little upset. But I love you, and maybe I'll unmute you and we can hang out, all right?
Hold on, I'm going to cry. No,
I'm gonna cry too.
I will wait till you leave. I don't want to talk to you right now.
Goodbye, Esteban.
Oh, no.
I love you forever.
Goodbye, my love.
That is the best thing about his videos, that it's, he is not the interesting guy, sorry, Winsmore, but the people he meets they are interesting. They're weird. They're funny. And the only thing that I have, problem is a big word, but another thing that we have with these videos is that it does show to the outside world how weird Second Life is, because a lot of those people are a bit, extreme, and he shows a few weird sides of Second Life without much background, which is, a shame, but we have to realize that is how many people see us anyway.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm sure that a lot of Linden Labbers are cringing whenever Esteban shows up in the news. But then again, I always tell people about the beautiful city that you live in. I tell them, when you go to Amsterdam with your kids, are you going to show them the Rijksmuseum or are you going to take them to a brothel?
Do you have to choose?
Depending how old your kids are, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so that does it for the show. Fabulous. And I hope the discussion about who Esteban is, what is griefing, what is trolling, and is he both or more or less?
Let us know if you've been a victim of him or if you're a fan. We'll
put you in touch. We'll put you in touch with him.
No, we want to hear from regular Second Life users what you think. Is he going too far, or do you think it's funny and we should be able to take a joke now and then?
Yeah, and also call in because we're an audio program, okay? I want to leave you with a tweet from Mark Andreessen that I came across this morning. Mark Andreessen, of course, big internet pioneer with Netscape Navigator. He tweeted this morning as the conclusion of a long conversation about Bitcoin and such. He tweeted, Second Life and amazing creators will inspire programmers and entrepreneurs for 50 years. So that's a really great note, I think, to end on.
We should try and get him on the show.
Our people will talk to his people and we'll make it happen. And we'll also have to talk about Bitcoin because that's not a fringe phenomenon anymore. So we got to cover that too. Any last thoughts, events that you want to highlight, Joe?
Well, we're just going to have a lot of winter fun in Berlin before it all starts to go away again.
Ah, beautiful, yes.
And I just want to. It's not. I just want to remind people to go and watch the video Loki made because it's really cool.
Absolutely, we will all watch it a million times and then force others to watch it while we chain them on a chair. No, sorry, I'm not into bondage. Anyway, Joe, it was great as always. Have a great weekend and goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
And we have a few minutes left, so rounding out the hour today is Joy Price. Very inspiring entrepreneur. She runs the New York City Sims. She runs the SL Fashion Feed, and she just recently launched a real-life jewelry line. Handcrafted, every piece, leather and gold, the physical and the virtual merging. Here's Joy Price.
The Joy Price jewelry collection is all high to mid-end jewelry. It's considered luxury, but I think that everybody in Second Life will have a moderate cost to it because I'm going to give them special discounts. But essentially, you can purchase every item that you can get in real life. You can also get in Second Life. And every item you can get in Second Life, you can get in real life. So you'll be able to go into my store and purchase the digital item if you want on its own. You can use Linden's to purchase the real life item and get it shipped to you. Or on our website, you can log in, purchase an item, and then let us know what your avatar is, and we'll send you the virtual item for free. So that at any point in time, you can actually match your avatar. The majority of the line is made with 14 karat gold filled. It's architecturally inspired. So you'll find very hard geometric lines in everything that we're doing. There's elements of things that are soft because it's a feminine jewelry line, but at the same time, it's something that is really versatile, and there's a lot of inspiration from Second Life in that. I actually have a jewelry piece called the Prim that's an actual cube. We're working with different jewelry places locally in New York and in Pittsburgh. They're ready and waiting. So if we get 100 orders, we can fill them. But everything for the most part for the next couple months, if it's leather, I'm making it by hand. If it's full gold, that's something that we're ordering, and it takes about 3 to 6 weeks to arrive. It takes a lot of time, and I don't sleep much. people associate all mass multiplayer games with just these crazy sort of like antisocial, emotional, unsuccessful people that don't have an outlet in real life, that are using this as a platform. I think we just need to do more press. We need more media, and more of us have to be comfortable with coming out and saying this is who we really are, and we're not psychos. Hello, we're successful in real life.
The Drax Files Radio Hour with Joe Yardley is a weekly production of Basic Drax Entertainment. The show is supported by NTDC, Jordy Sands, Anne-Marie Flanagan, Harter Fall, Pixel Ghost, Natasha Rand, Secret Rage, Sue Ellen Tisdale, Joe Nickens, and Eshi Otawara. Special thanks to Esteban Winsmore for providing the station ID this week. Contact the show via Skype, Drax Files, Avatar Drax Files, or email radio@draxfiles.com.
And do not forget, Esteban Winsmore will soon take over the world. I don't know.